Okay, everybody. So we might get started. We've got a number of people who've already arrived, and I know some people are running late. They have let me know. So welcome along to our webinar today on Quitch AI. And I'm going to run you through a demonstration of how it all works. I'm not going to talk for too long, maybe 10, 15 minutes, because I want to hear from you as well and talk about what are some of the pain points that you are currently experiencing that we can help you out with. We are a bit obsessed with our customers, which is great. And we want to make sure that we continue on that path and solve those problems that you are having some issues with. And I'm having some internet issues where I am right now, so I'm hoping you can just bear with me for one moment. So I'm going to jump in and hopefully jump back online. And I'll give you a little bit of background first. So my name is Grainne Oates. I am the CEO and founder of Quitch, and it is a gamified mobile learning platform that was introduced at Swinburne University, where I'm an academic, in the first instance back in 2015-16, and when we did our research. So what I'm going to do, and I'm hoping you can hear me, there are some issues with my internet, but hopefully you'll be able to hear me loud and clear. So I'm going to jump into the Quitch platform and show you exactly how it all works. And please, with any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A and we can discuss those as we go. So now what I've got here is, let's say we're starting right from the beginning and you're creating a class. It could be for your university setting, it could be for your corporate setting, and we also, of course, work in the vocational education sector as well. So what we do here, we've got our class, I've set that up for you. And what I want to show you now is how you can create this content and set up your course with AI. So you can, of course, upload with other files as well, but today we have a focus on AI, so we're going to focus on that particular area. So jumping in here, you can see I've selected Create with AI. And in the first instance, let's say I had wanted to go out to the greater world and look at a particular topic. And in this instance, if I look at, for example, AI use in corporates, and what I want to do is I want to see, what do my learners know about this particular topic? So what Quitch will now do, Quitch's AI will generate 10 questions on that topic. So these questions can be a combination of, it can be true and false questions, it could be multiple choice questions, select one, select more than one, it could be select all that apply, it can also be some click and drag questions as well. So the variety of questions that Quitch will offer. So with AI, of course, we all know that we need to be critically sure that the answers that it's suggesting for us and these questions are indeed accurate. So we will always ask you to check the questions, but you can see here that in a matter of seconds, it has created 10 questions on this particular topic for us. So what I want to do now is I want to review my questions. And what I want to do, I want to have the option, if I don't like a question for any particular reason, once I review it, I want to have the option to remove that question. So I want to remove it. I also might perhaps not like this answer, so I also might want the opportunity to do that. And indeed, maybe I don't like this explanation, so I might want to edit it, or indeed, I might want to delete it entirely. So the idea here is to take away that pain point that you have delivered to us and let us know that creating those knowledge texts or those questions was very, very time consuming. So what we've done now is we have created the Quitch AI to take that pain point away from you, and hopefully this will resolve a big issue that you have been having. And then we've got topic one, so we're going to complete that import. So what I want to do now, these questions have been created for me, and I can see now that they're all ready to go. I've decided that I'm happy with them, and I'm going to show you then in a moment how you would in fact schedule these questions to go out to your group. But first of all, let's have a bit more fun and let's add some more modules. So the next thing I want to do, so let's say in this instance that I've just delivered a case study to my students, or it might indeed be a policy at work. What I want to do is I want to upload this document. I want the Quitch AI to create questions just from my own document. and then I want to do my knowledge check. So I'm going to upload my document. I'm going to go out here and browse. And in this instance, I'm going to look at this research paper that I recently published with some colleagues that showed a 13% improvement in student retention at Australian Catholic University in that instance, following the implementation of Quitch in one of its first year units. So I've created this paper, let's say any research paper for my students. And again, now I want AI to create questions just from that PDF, that research paper, and to then push these questions out to my students. Again, we ask to make sure that you check the AI and that you're comfortable with that, but you can see how much time this is saving for me as an academic in this instance in terms of creating new questions all of the time and making sure that it is specific on that material that I have just delivered. So I'm going to have a review of these questions. In this instance, I'm not going to change any of the explanations or any of the answers that it has suggested for me. And I am simply then going to look at importing those and making them available for my students. So in this instance, I've got, I'll say module 2. And in this instance, I'm going to say they're going to focus on a second topic. I would use language here, module, week, whatever is more appropriate for you or what language your students are familiar with, or if you're in a corporate, might be modules for your organization, for your employees. So use what language I suggest that is what is available and what is familiar for your group. So I've got my module here, and I've got all of these questions that have now been created from that research paper that I have as a resource. So what I want to do as well is I might want to add that resource as well so that people can refer to it. So I simply go here. I'm going to now create a resource. I'm going to go in here to document. So I'm just going to call it a research case study. And now what I want to do is I want to upload this resource as well, so that any of my learners who want further information or who want to go back and review that, they have the option to do that. And I can add specific questions to it as well if I so wish. So I'm going to save that resource. And you can see now that as well as having all of my questions here, I have got the resource as well. So a complete learning system for your employees or indeed for your students. I can also add, if I want, I can create more questions. I have the option to do that. So I can create multiple choice, and you can see there's a whole variety of them there. I can add hints if I wish, and AI created the explanation for me, but I may want to change that if I so wish. I select obviously which is the correct, incorrect answer. And then to make it a really much nicer and prettier experience for everybody, the other thing you might like to do is to create an image with Unsplash. And you might have your own images that you want to use as well. So you have the option to upload images in each of those questions and indeed in the answer as well. So this is looking at these two modules. And then let's say, for example, if I focus on, I just delivered a lecture, for example, to my students. And this is, of course, one of the very first reasons that I created Quitch, was to be able to help students who had just, for example, been to my class. Now, what did they learn? How much of it did they learn, and so on? And I want to be able to empower them, for them to understand what maybe they didn't quite understand. Because students would often say to me, I understood everything when you delivered that lecture. It was really clear and straightforward. However, when I started then to push questions out to students directly after the lecture, which they receive on their mobile phone, they were to find that they had nowhere near that level of comprehension that they originally thought they had. So what I previously did was I would create questions myself, which, as you can imagine, was a little time consuming. Now all I need to do is upload my PowerPoint into Quitch directly after my lecture, check that I'm happy with all of that content, which I hope I am, because I'm the one who has created it. And what I want to do now is I want to push all of this out directly to all of my students. So again, I've got all of my questions here, and I can share with them the PowerPoint as well as a resource, and they can then go back and understand that. So here I'm going to go in here, and I've got module 3 in this instance, and I've got topic 3, whoops, and I'm going to complete that import now as well. And we can see here that I've got all of the questions again have now been created. I'm also going to offer this as a resource to my group, because they may want to come back and revise that at another time. And I'm going to upload it for them here. So we've got my PowerPoint slide, uploading it for them. And now they have access again to everything. So they can look at this on their mobile phone. We also have a desktop version of Quitch now, so students can also have the option to do that. So you can see here, it's only taken me a matter of probably 5 or 6 minutes to create all of these topics, resources, modules, and so on. So now I'm happy with my 3 modules that I've created. What I want to do next now is I want to push this out, and that will send a notification on the mobile phone of everybody I've invited to the class so that they can access this material. So I'm going to push this resource up here to the top. I can drag and drop. So I'm going here to my schedule. And what I want to do now is I might want to just push out all of my topics at once, or indeed I might want to push out the topics just one by one. So this will depend on you, and you know your group better than anyone else, I always say. So we give you the option to do that. So in this instance, let's say that I've got all of my topics and I want to push them out maybe today, or let's say, for example, you wanted to do them one at a time. You can drip feed that content out. So what I've found in my experience, if I'm teaching MBA students, they will want all of the material at the very beginning of the semester, and then they will work their way through it in time. On the other hand, with my undergraduate students, they found if I did that, put everything out at the beginning, it was just overwhelming for them and just too much to deal with. So in that instance, I would drip feed it out and just they get a couple of questions a day. So in this instance, I'm going to schedule this content to go out today. And you will see now, when I look at all of my topics here, you can see that they're all scheduled. So I've got everything ready. It's taken me minutes only to create all of this. And what I want to do now next is I've scheduled my content. I've created all of my knowledge checks and my quizzes. I've also made available all of the resources for my learners. And what I want to do now is I want to publish that content. As soon as I hit that publish button, it becomes available for anybody that I'm going to invite to this particular class or training session. So in this instance, I'm going to have some fun with you here. It tells me that I'm waiting. It's waiting for learners because I have not yet invited anybody to the class. And we've got an integration with Canvas, so you can import through Canvas. But in this instance, I'm going to do a CSV import. So I've already downloaded my template. I've invited a number of people to the class, which is the group of people who are attending today. So I open up my invitation here. And what I will now start to see, I will send out those invites and you will receive an email inviting you to this class. So you can see all of these people have been invited. And then what we do over time, you will be able to see how the content is performing, how your people are performing, and how they're interacting with your content. So you can see here, when it comes to the topic, anything highlighted in blue means that nobody has yet interacted with the content, which is a brand new class. We expect that in this instance. But what I want to do over time, you will see as people sign up and as they start to answer questions, you will see as an educator or a trainer in real time, you will start to see what is the level of accuracy for that module. You'll be able to take it down to the question level as well. So what we do here, the idea is that in real time, you understand what people are not just understanding. What is the knowledge? Where are the knowledge gaps? So that you can tailor your content to focus on those particular modules. It's too late when students are halfway through semester, they're doing a final exam. Too late for us to help them then. And of course, in corporates, it's a huge risk issue if we are not understanding what people aren't getting and where we need to focus that training. So we've got a whole lot of modules you'll see there. In this case, we've got 3 that I created for you just now. And as you start to interact with this, you'll start to see it populate and so on, and start to get an understanding of where you might have some issues with the content that you're delivering. You'll also find sometimes that it might in fact be the way that you've written those questions, but again, it will highlight in red, for example, anything where more than 80% of your group did not get that question correct. That to me was often a red flag for the way that we were presenting those questions. So sometimes it's not about people not understanding the concept, but you also need to be very careful, especially when we have a lot of international students, people from non-English speaking backgrounds. Are we actually crafting our questions correctly? Now, AI does tend to actually do this very well, has been my experience to date. But so that's where we're at with our content. If, for example, then I wanted to create any new content, I've started this up, it just simply takes me back here and I have the option to add more content as I go. So that's given you a very quick, brief overview of our AI. And that's the first step. The next step, we've got an AI strategy now, and we will be delivering a number of new items over the next few months. So we'll have a focus on adaptive learning, which will be just really have your own journey in learning. So if I'm doing well in various topics, I will be pushed further to perform and improve. If I'm not doing so well, then I would need a bit of a helping hand and maybe focus on more introductory modules. But what I would love at this moment is to hear from anyone in the audience who has particular pain points that hopefully this will help with some of those. But what are those other pain points that you have identified that we could again add into Quitch that would really help you on your journey? Does anybody have any particular questions that would be really helpful for us to answer for you today? Is there, firstly, I guess the question is what we are currently doing helpful for you? Could you see yourself being able to use that and that remove some of those pain points that you're currently facing? And then on the other hand, what are some of those burning questions you have that you would like to see answered and that are going to really help you on your journey? And we have a question there. So Justin, please go ahead with your question. So I can't hear you, Justin. And if not, perhaps you might need to put it in the chat function. And we've got, yes, some feedback that's great that there's already learning a lot about AI in the demo class. So that's good to hear. And some of the other questions we've been asked about the AI. Okay, so I've just heard the chat is disabled. So just pop your questions in the Q&A if you have any questions there. For some reason, our chat is disabled and we'll be able to answer those for you. But some of so we look at, in terms of our AI strategy, we've got the AI strategy from the educator or the instructor side of things, but then we also, of course, have an AI strategy around your students, learners, or your employees. So we're going to be working on both sides of the equation. So Quitch has always, of course, been built with we have always looked at what is the pain point from both sides. So we want to continue to do that so that we ensure that the solution is also being provided for both sides of the equation, because everybody needs to have a great experience. So as educators, for example, we want to make sure that we are being able to support any students who are struggling as early as possible, because we all know, of course, from our research that the earlier we support and intervene, the much greater chance of success that student will have. And on the other side of it, we want to make sure that we are also empowering our students so that they're getting that personalized feedback. And Quitch provides personalized feedback at scale. So at times I've had 1,000 students in my accounting class. Now, there is no way I can provide personalized feedback and a great experience for those students unless I can do that through some kind of a platform. So what I do is I can identify which students are at risk, again, reach out to them where they are at, which is on their mobile phone. We all are these days, and make sure that we can reach them there and offer them support, whether that be I'm running a workshop, whether that be I'm going to want them to focus on more introductory module, because so often with students, it's about confidence and how do you build that confidence over time for them. And we're getting some more comments in the Q&A. So great stuff on the AI features. So that's excellent. Does the upload of PowerPoint resources accessible by AI and make it more consistent with our material? I think the answer to that question is yes, absolutely. So what I have found is that when I'm delivering my lecture, and then directly after that lecture, I'm uploading the material that I've just delivered, and I'm finding that the students are engaging with it directly because they're getting a ping on their mobile phone to say, Grainne has sent you some more content, engage with this now. And of course, the other thing they had always asked for was, why can't we have fun while we're learning? And I couldn't argue with that either. So they're earning badges, they're going up and down that leaderboard, they can see how they're doing compared to the class average, compared to their colleagues and so on, and getting a lot of information around activity levels, winning streak, what their mastery is and so on. Because Quitch is built on that, the growth mindset, if you like. So we want people to be able to continue to practice as often as required. I personally wasn't the best student ever, so any opportunity I had to practice, I was very keen to do that. So in this instance, we want students to be able to practice until they master the content, so they can be well then set up for success. So in terms of, the question, yes, absolutely, we have more consistency with our material when we're using that AI feature. And you always, as I said, you always have that opportunity to review the content as well, because we know until we get more and more confident with AI, we want to make sure that what it's actually delivering to us is indeed both consistent, but also is it actually accurate, because we want to make sure we're delivering accurate material out to our students. And happy to answer any more questions or any comments. So is there something in your day-to-day lives that you're working on at the moment that we could help you with through Quitch? So we know that a lot of people had difficulty in terms of time and creating those, question banks and so on. Is there anything else that anybody in the group can see that would be another really nice fit for them right now? This is your moment. And we can look at how we could get that delivered for you quickly. And I guess if we think about this in terms of both from the the educator side of things, but as I said, also from the student side, and at which we will always be looking to continue to speak with all of you who are here today, which is mainly educators. But also we will also continue to speak with the students and see what are some of the things that they're facing and that are a challenge for them that we could potentially help with as well. And how indeed can we use AI to do that. And as I mentioned, in terms of the adaptive learning, I think is one really great way to go for our students. So they're really understanding that. And yes, we've got some other comments on that. This is like a great help, which is fantastic. And I think also the other thing to mention, people like myself who've been teaching for many years, you often have a lot of content that you've created over that time. So now there's an opportunity to really bring that back to life, if you like, with using the Quitch AI to help you create those knowledge checks and understanding from those materials. But also you also still have the option, if you've got hundreds or thousands of questions you've built up over the years, Quitch you can still bulk upload those questions through a CSV file. And in that instance, you can then drag and drop those into the different topics as well. So you still have an option to do that as well if you have been working for some time in this field and that you do have a lot of content. We should have been around when I was teaching, somebody said. I feel exactly the same. It would have saved a lot of time. And it also, it's also a little scary, I think, as academics, when you're creating those quizzes, you want to make sure that, it's not something you had delivered at a previous semester or in a previous test and so on. So to have the ability to continually create new questions is, I think, a huge point in terms of saving time for us and reducing stress and anxiety, I would say as well. And just to add then, I know in a number of institutions who are also using Quitch for, it could be compliance training or it could be various other staff training. There's often the case where we have lots of policies in the institutions. And as a risk mitigation, we want to make sure that people actually really do understand those policies. So I think this is a really also great way of uploading your own institution policies and then actually using, using Quitch to actually check that knowledge. And then, of course, we have reporting, which you can show all of the activities that have taken place by each of your different learners or employees. And also looking at, you can download that and identify, as I said, through our traffic light system, where are those areas that are an issue for people that they're just not understanding. So it can always guide us to what we need really to focus on. So I am going to, if there's no other questions, I'm going to wrap it up there and give everybody back the rest of their day. But I want to say a huge thank you for joining us today. Thank you for the feedback. And indeed, we will, of course, we always record the session, so we're happy to share that with you as well. But also feel free to reach out to us at hello@quitch.com if you've got any feedback for us, and you know many of us personally as well. So you can reach out to myself at Oates@quitch.com. And feel free to suggest some additional improvements that we can make that will help solve the problems that you're facing today. So thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to speaking to you all again soon. Bye for now.